Hello there and welcome to Creature Cuisine. I'm Sullivan, this is Chai, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in all of Dungeons & Dragons, world building. And before we get into what world building means to me, I want to get into what being a dungeon master means to me. Being a dungeon master is making a collaborative story with your friends. A lot of people think that they are writing a book when they make a campaign, if it's a homebrew campaign. You are creating the outlines to a coloring book, and you are handing it to your little tiny children, the players. And you are letting them color it in. You're letting them build the story any way they want, and if they want to doodle outside of the lines and they want to go a different direction with things, that's okay, because there's lots of blank pages that you can keep on writing with. And this is, I can really just stray from the story I'm trying to tell right now. You are making a masterpiece with your friends, collaboratively, and you're just there to give them guidance, like the broken spell guidance, band guidance. Today, I'm talking about a city that is very near and dear to my heart. The city is called Saint-Leboeuf. Saint-Leboeuf is a beautiful, stunning, gambling city built on the backbone of stone giants. The city is surrounded by walls with a magical dome that has an everlasting dusk at all times, and there's no clocks anywhere. Maybe inspired by Las Vegas.
I believe I can fly.
The city of Saint-Leboeuf is unlike any other. Sitting in a vast desert, quietly by itself for hundreds of years. It wasn't even on maps 20 years ago. In these last few decades, there has been a resurgence of this city, and it is known to be home of the richest man in the world, the man in green. The city is surrounded by giant, massive stone walls, and flanked by massive, silent, stoic stone giants at the gates. Once your players enter the city, they'll be introduced to an NPC named Draven, who may or may not walk the gray line of morality. Now, Draven, as a resident local here in the city of Saint-Leboeuf, may see outsiders and think, profit, which is why he's going to give the players a little tour of this city. The city is broken up into 4 boroughs: the Iron Roots, the Steel Circle, the Silver Strip, and the Golden Vault. The Iron Roots is clearly the most historical borough of this entire city. The homes here are built with the same stone that circles the outside wall. These homes are even big enough to house stone giants themselves. But you notice when you're in the city, it's not just stone giants who live here. There's dwarves, elves, drow, vampires, Githyanki, and all kinds of races here. It is a borough of culture.
Stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm! Wait! Everybody calm down!
The Iron Roots is full of NPCs that are going to be a part of your journey. Like one individual named Anders, who's struggling and in debt to a couple of loan sharks, and he's just trying to get food for his family. The Steel Circle is where blood sport reigns supreme, the fight pits, where an absolute nobody can rise to infamy and hold one of the stone-etched belts around your waist. The walls are all etched with names of former champions, and this is where you'll run into Rorik Bloodspike, an old champion who still wears his grizzled, old, tattered belt around his waist. He runs the fight pits, now he's in need of help. There's a rumor of fixed fights going around, and this man loves a clean fight. Fighting's allowed.
Yes!
And then there's the Silver Strip, where pennies turn into fortune, where legends are made at the card tables or the dice boards. The card boards are the dice tables.
What's that supposed to mean?
And this is where you can play completely original games like Titan's Dice or Manticore's Folly, which might just be me renaming Liar's Dice and Texas Hold'em.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
And the Silver Strip is home to Leora Silkshade, a drow who's been blackmailed into working for the man in green for the last 20 years. Maybe she'll help you unravel the mysteries in the Silver Strip. And finally, the Golden Vault, the jewel of the city and referred to as the Capital Casino. It is an opulent, beautiful, pristine palace and home to the man in green. Now, the city of Saint-Leboeuf can be a place where they spend 1, 2, 5 sessions here, or it could be the hub of your campaign. There are so many mysteries, thrills, scares, monsters that live in this city. Things that I have yet to tell you. One of my favorite little tidbits that I give my players is on the first night that they stay there. The next morning, they step out of the Cypress Inn, which is a small inn that's located in the Iron Roots. When they step out, they notice a small crowd of people. The small crowd of people are around a bell tower. And this bell tower has no bell. But everyone in this crowd, at the stroke of 8 a.m., nod their head, slowly, 8 times, for the 8th king of the stone giants, who built the original city of Saint-Labo. Yet no bell, no rings, just people who are nodding to their former king. What the hell is that? Why? Why is there no bell? What do you mean? Just a fun thing that you can give to your players, a small little hint of information that helps unravel so many mysteries, and there's so many different little pieces like this in this entire city. Let me tell y'all about the man in green. He walks into a room and you swear the walls lean back just to give him space. He's draped in a coat so fine it glimmers like sunlight in a forest canopy, lined with emeralds, rubies, and golden stitching. And his fingers, every single one's got a ring that could buy a kingdom. And he's got a necklace, oh no, a chain big enough to make a dragon jealous. And his smile though, well, that's what'll get you, crooked, cocky, and dripping with confidence. It's the kind of smile that says, I've already won, share, and you don't even know it yet. He's got a voice like honeyed whiskey, smooth with a hint of a bite. And he carries himself like he owns not just the room, but the world outside too. He doesn't walk, he saunters, daring anyone to even try taking his throne. That's the man in green, the richest man alive, the master of games, and the one holding all the cards literally and figuratively. Now, what made the man in green so special in my campaign? He had a personal tie with one of the players. There are so many ways you can do this. There can be a rogue, let's say, a part of the Thieves Guild. The man in green is the richest man in the world. You don't think he owns the Thieves Guild? Let's say you have a warlock who's a patron to a fiend. A long time ago, a devil took a deal with the man in green. Or maybe you even have a wizard who had a grandmaster who trained him many moons ago. Well, guess what? Early on in your campaign, that wizard's mentor was murdered. Why? Who knows? Why? Because of the man in green. There are plenty of ways to implement this. The man in green is the most wealthy person on the planet. There are millions of ways to include this character into your campaign. My campaign, personally, I had a rogue who was trained bits and bobs, stealing little things when he was a kid, trained by a con man. Hadn't seen him since. Hadn't seen him in the last decade or so. You know what he was doing in my campaign for the last decade? Building Saint-Labo. The man in green was a moniker that he wasn't used to. So when we went to the city and they were there for a few sessions doing things, racing, fighting, whatever it was, when they found themselves face to face with the man in green and my player Ulrich got to see who it was, baby girl, it was good. The showdown with the man in green is unique. For me, when I ran it, it wasn't a big battle. The battle seemed unwinnable. The man in green is surrounded by a militia of stone giants, and he also has a giant horde of clay golems at his side. Terrifying. The players can't just go to the Golden Vault. They have to be invited. They can't just storm the gates and destroy everything. Of course, there's plenty of ways your players can go about this and encounter the man in green, but how I did it was a card game. Texas Hold'em, or as I called it earlier, Manticore's Folly. Now, Texas Hold'em with your friends, playing in character, is probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my entire life. This card game, the expectations I had were very low. I had no idea how this game was gonna go, but the stakes were high. The mystery that is in the middle of this city, the heart of this city, was unraveled for my players. My players knew what they had to do. The man in green offered them anything they'd want. Of course, it was to free the city. Free the city from what, you ask? Don't worry, it's in all the docs and the PDFs below, just for you. Now, what did the man in green want? Well, a few sessions before they got to Saint-Labo, I granted one of the players a very powerful item. Game-breaking. Could potentially be game-breaking, but I gave my players a genie's lamp. Now, do I recommend giving your players a genie lamp? Maybe. Potentially. You have to know your party. You can't just give a genie's lamp to anybody. You gotta write little rules. You can't do it, you can't do all these little things. But I gave the lamp to someone I trusted wouldn't use it for metagaming. Nothing's wrong with metagaming. I love metagaming. I metagame. It just has to be what it is. You're playing a game, you wanna win. You know what I mean? Now, I didn't give it to somebody who was gonna do that though. I gave it to someone who I knew would narratively use it in the best way, in the best circumstances. If you give your players a genie lamp, wonderful. This will relate for you. But it could just be something, a very powerful item, something with personal affliction. That rogue who works for the Thieves Guild, who knows the man in green is now the leader of the Thieves Guild, whatever the case may be, maybe he had a locket growing up, and the man in green knows that locket actually has a key inside the locket. Does the player know that? Of course not. The man in green offers to wage that for the game. Obviously, there's more mystery there. There's a lot of ways to make it believable that your players are getting invited to play a high-stakes game of Manticore's Folly. Now, with the genie lamp on the line in my game, like I said before, I had very low stakes with this city. I thought it'd be one and done. My mind was blown. The player who had the genie's lamp used one of his 3 wishes to wish that the man in green couldn't lie anymore.
I can't lie!
What? Incredible. The biggest con man, the richest man in the world, told he can't lie anymore? I wasn't ready. It was incredible. It was incredible. No matter how good your world building is, you have no idea what it is capable of, the worlds you're building without your friends at the table. The story is unmatched for me, and that's why we're here today. During the game of Manticore's Folly, again, I keep saying all these things that I'm like, I don't recommend, but let me tell you why. We played this game in person, face to face, in character. This game was incredible. But things weren't looking so good for me. I think I'm a decent poker player, but the cards were not in my favor. And let me tell you, again, I was in character. I was the man in green, and I ain't gonna take no for an answer. I decided, well, I'm the dealer because the man in green, you know, he's got his own dealer. I'm gonna start cheating.
Catnip. That's no mine.
I'm gonna put a couple aces up my sleeve. And when I did this draw, oh baby, I started turning it around. I started winning. It started being very good. And even with me cheating, I still started to lose. And it was narratively the most incredible thing. Do I recommend cheating at a real poker game? Don't do that. That's bad. Don't do that. But when you're in character with all your friends and there's not really money on the line and you're the DM, I'm just saying, it made for a narrative masterpiece. Now that's St. Lebow, a city of mystery, money, intrigue, pain, and power, baby. Now if you take inspiration from the Burrows, the Man in Green, or anything, I hope you use it well. Every single thing that I've talked about today is going to be in a little PDF down below. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you use it in your games. And once again, I'm Sullivan. This is Chai. Thank you for tuning in to Creature Cuisine.